Oh, hi there.
Knock, knock.
It's Mrs. Klein.
And Mr. Creighton.
We're here with a podcast for you guys today. It's kind of a hybrid podcast from our new Nat Geo book as well as from the old history book. It's all about the age of exploration. Okay, you guys, imagine this. The key to successful trading is being able to supply what people want. In the 1400s, Europeans wanted Asian spices, but Ottoman Turks controlled the trade routes to Asia, and they charged high prices. European rulers and merchants knew that whoever found an alternative sea route to Asia would become fabulously wealthy.
All right, guys, the terms and names you guys need to know: rivalry, colony, sponsor, caravel, astrolabe, Treaty of Tordesillas, and circumnavigate. Remember, when you hear this sound, it means you just heard a vocabulary term.
All right, you guys, there's a main idea for this particular area, for this particular section of the podcast, which is the desire to control trade encouraged Europeans to explore the world.
And our big idea: there are winners and losers in global exchanges.
All right, you guys, here we go. Portugal leads the way. How did Portugal find an ocean route to India? Well, during the Middle Ages, Italian and Muslim merchants controlled overland trade between Europe and Asia. Merchants from other European countries wanted a share of this trade. To do this, these merchants needed to find a sea route to Asia.
Prince Henry, the son of Portugal's king, was a strong supporter of exploration. He set up a school for mapmakers, navigators, and shipbuilders. He also acted as a sponsor or financial backer of voyages of exploration.
Technological advances helped Portuguese exploration. Shipbuilders in Portugal perfected the caravel. This ship was designed for long voyages. Portuguese sailors used a magnetic compass to help them track their direction. The Portuguese also used the astrolabe. This instrument helped sailors to find out their ship's latitude.
By 1460, the Portuguese had set up trading posts along Africa's west coast. In 1488, the Portuguese explorer Bartholomew Dias rounded Africa's southern tip. He then sailed up part of Africa's east coast before returning home. Vasco da Gama extended Dias' route. He sailed east all the way to India in 1498. A few years later, the Portuguese set up trading posts in India.
Sea trade was cheaper than overland trade, and as a result, the Portuguese could charge less for spices. Soon, Portugal was the leading European power in trade with Asia. You should be able to answer this question: how did Portugal become the leading European power in trade with Asia?
Our next section is titled Columbus Reaches America. The question we want you guys to be thinking about: why did Columbus sail west across the Atlantic, and what did he find? The Italian navigator Christopher Columbus hoped to find a westward route to Asia. By studying maps, Columbus knew that the Earth was round, unlike Kyrie Irving, who thinks it's flat. Because of this, Columbus thought he could reach Asia sooner if he sailed west. Columbus believed that sailing east would take longer because it involved going around Africa.
That was really dangerous anyway, too.
That was very dangerous. But Columbus had made a mistake. He thought the Earth was only 2/3 as large as it really is.
After 6 years, Columbus convinced the Spanish monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, to sponsor his plan. In August 1492, Columbus left Spain with 3 caravels and about 90 men. After almost 10 weeks at sea, Columbus and his crew reached land. Columbus thought that this land was India. He even called the people who greeted him and his men Indios, or Indians. Once again, he was mistaken. He actually had landed on one of the Bahama Islands. Columbus did not come across any trade goods. Even so, he was still excited at finding what he thought was a route to Asia.
Ferdinand and Isabel did not want Portugal to benefit from Columbus's voyage. They asked the Pope to grant them control of all the area Columbus had visited. In 1493, the Pope drew the line of demarcation. This was an imaginary line around the world. Spain could claim all lands west of the line. Portugal could claim all lands to the east, but Portugal felt that the boundary favored Spain. The Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494 moved the line more than 800 miles west.
So you guys, this is like a big rivalry that's happening right now between Spain and Portugal because, Portugal is the man at this time, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones who are gaining all kinds of riches and stuff from trade. And all of a sudden Spain wants in at this and they start this rivalry that's going on. And when they start taking over more and more territory, they start to develop colonies in these new places where they are places they've discovered.
Yeah, and other European nations start to get jealous. And so you start seeing all these European countries establishing colonies all over the world. And so you start having these competitions within the New World, within the old world. It gets pretty chaotic.
Yes. All right. So Ferdinand and Isabella sent Columbus on 3 more journeys west to find mainland India. During these voyages, Columbus found no proof that he was actually in Asia. All right, you guys, what mistakes did Christopher Columbus make?
Our final section is exploration after Columbus. Question you guys should be thinking about: which European countries explored and claimed parts of America? In 1519, the Spanish sponsored a voyage headed by a Portuguese sailor named Ferdinand Magellan. His goal was to circumnavigate the globe. Up until this time, no one had done this feat. During the journey, Magellan and most of his crew were killed. Eventually, the remainder of his crew made it back to Spain. They had successfully traveled around the world.
In the early 1500s, many Spanish explorers came to the Americas in search of gold. Remember, we did our big unit on the Americas, you guys.
Yep.
Hernan Cortez conquered the rich Aztec Empire in Mexico. Not long after, Francisco Pizarro conquered the Incan Empire in South America. Soon, Spain gained control of all of Mexico and Central America and much of South America.
From 1539 to 1542, the Spaniard Hernando de Soto explored present-day southern United States. In 1540, Francisco Coronado explored the western United States.
The English and the French made several attempts to find a shortcut to Asia as well. The Italian sailor John Cabot headed 2 voyages for the English. He claimed coastal lands in present-day eastern Canada and the United States for England. Between 1534 and 1536, the Frenchman Jacques Cartier traveled up Canada's St. Lawrence River. By the way, you guys, that's really pretty. I was there this summer. He claimed the region for France. Cabot and Cartier did not find a shortcut to Asia.
I hope you guys realize that a lot of these navigators were actually from different countries and they were sponsored by other nations.
There you go.
Each discovery made by explorers changed the map of the world. Soon mapmakers began to show 2 new continents. One mapmaker named these continents the Americas after Amerigo Vespucci. Vespucci was one of the first to explore and map the coast of this region. All right, guys, the question you should be able to answer right now: why did the European countries sponsor explorations of the Americas? All right, guys, the terms and names you guys need to know: rivalry, colony, sponsor, caravel, astrolabe, Treaty of Tordesillas, and circumnavigate.
All right, you guys, don't stay up too late.
I give up.